Hi everyone, I'm going to do a really quick tutorial about perusal. So this is for all of my classes. I'm in 140, which is Intro to Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies right now. That was the first course that popped up in my menu, so that's the course that I'm in right now. I'm in the student view, so this is what it looks like to you or for you when you log in. Which I think will be a little bit more helpful for you. Everything looks essentially the same. I just have a few extra buttons that you don't have. So I've selected an article. I just clicked on the second one. It doesn't really matter for what we're doing. And I'm going to talk about a couple of different features. I'm going to talk about annotation, which is the current conversation, and the difference between that and all conversations. Then I'm going to talk about start comments. I'm going to talk about the notes and the possibilities. Some articles do have read aloud, but I won't spend as much time there. And then I'm going to end with a conversation about creating groups or chat features within groups. I'm not going to talk so much about creating study groups because I don't think that's as helpful or pertinent to our class, but I do think the notes feature is something that's really great. So I'm just going to start from the bottom and move up, which is actually starting with notes. So notes are distinct from annotations. So annotations are like small moments in the text where you're unpacking something, you're thinking through something, you're defining something, or you're answering a question for somebody else. A note, it'd be easier if you thought about a note like a journal assignment, right? So in a journal assignment, you're unpacking the readings, you're unpacking the material, and then you're also thinking about how you understand or how your lived positionality impacts how you read, or respond to a particular reading. And so that's what your notes do. So you can click here to start taking a new note, click new, and then a new note will appear. My country nets are slow. So we'll see how this works. This is the reason why it's taken me so long to do the tutorial. I didn't have internet for 2 days. That's awesome. Okay, so when you take your notes, you just type in here, this is my first note. Yay! And then you can actually add in emojis. I'm going to do a smiley cat. It will say smile cat, but when you are done with the note, it will actually turn into an emoji. So you just can click down and add more. You can do a couple of different things. You can change the background color of what you're saying. This has a new color, right? You can also change the text color. No, I don't like those two things together. So I'll do purple background. Now I have a really interesting background. I cannot type today. Background and text color. Okay, so you can make it bold, you can do italics. I mean, you can do a lot of things that are unnecessary, I think. You can insert an image, you can insert a hyperlink, and you can also insert a video. Then the last piece of this, in terms of like actual note taking that I think is really cool, is that you can essentially screenshot a selection of text. Well, that's a lot, so we'll just do a smaller amount to here. And it will take an image and then place it over here. So then you can respond to the cursor will automatically be right below it. Then you can respond to that specific moment or idea. So if I decide to keep scrolling, and I'm like, wait, where was this at? I just double click it and it will take me back to the moment or the space where I initially selected it. Again, my internet is really slow right now. So yeah, it's just gonna take me a little while for things to catch up to what I'm doing. So you can share your note with other people. So this is a really cool feature about notes. If you want to have a better conversation with your group, maybe you're like, okay, we need to rethink how we're doing this Wednesday assignment. We need to rethink how we're writing up our notes. how we're going to submit that and what it's going to look like. What quotes are we going to use? What moments are we going to really focus on? How are we going to respond? Your notes could be your way to have that conversation every time you go in to annotate. And then when it comes time to put the pieces together, you literally just copy and paste from the text in your notes and do it that way. But it's actually easier. You don't even have to copy and paste. You can literally download it as a Word document. So if you've shared your note, and then like you type in the student's name here that you want to share it with, and then you click Save Changes, that note will be shared with them. So you can share it with me, you can share it with other students, but only this particular note will be shared. The other notes will remain yours and they will remain private. So you don't have to share every single note. You can have one note that's like a group note where everybody kind of goes in and adds text and unpacks things. And then you can have another set of notes that are your personal notes for your readings that you plan to use for your journal. So you have to have annotations in order to demonstrate that you engage with the readings, whether you use perusall or whether you use something else. You do have to submit something that shows me that you're actively engaging with the text. So you might have notes for your group, but then you also have to have a journal where you show me that you personally have been engaging with the text. So use these notes as your way to think through different readings. And then when it comes time to write your journal at the end of the week, or maybe you're the person who does your journal the night before it's due, you can just click, boop, download, and then you copy and paste everything into Evernote. So it's really easy. You just click new when you want a new note, and then once you have multiple notes, they'll come up here. So this is note 1. So I'm going to label it note 1. And then I'll click new, and then this will be note 2. And then when I click open, it'll show me the different notes that I have. So I can just go back to note 1, and then I can go to note 2. Note 2 has nothing in it. Okay, so that is how you do notes, which is pretty neat. So page thumbnails is literally page thumbnails. I don't know how else to describe that. So we'll talk a little bit about all conversations. So you can start a conversation with your group. So this is where you want to interact with other people, and you want other people in your group to be able to kind of respond to what you're saying. So in order to start a conversation, unlike in the notes feature where you can literally just start texting and then screenshot images of text into your conversation, you have to first select the text that you want to engage with. So we'll go here and we'll select this text, and then that tells everybody that this is the piece that I'm responding to. So you can add somebody, you can add hashtags. When we think about the search feature, the more hashtags you include, the easier it is to go back and search and to find things. It creates, right, a database of everything that's used that text. So then you can just enter a comment or a question. What do you think Garcia means in this section? I don't understand dichotomy. Okay, and then you just click enter, and then that submits it. And then it shows me that this is actually a question. So the question mark will tell your group that it's a question, as opposed to, I think a dichotomy is a, let's see, I think a dichotomy is a, juxtaposition is a big word, is a difference between two things where one is presumed good and the other is bad. So you can be a good girl or a bad girl, but good girls aren't bad, and bad girls aren't good. And then if I click enter, you'll notice that there's no, this is still the student, there's no question mark that's popped up. Now, this is important because you can actually search through the document in order to find different moments or different things that people are doing. And that button is up here. So I can go back and I can do unread comments, but I can also search for questions only. So if you have a question, put a question mark after it. So then your group can go back through and say, oh, hey, what question did anybody else have? And maybe I can answer them, or maybe all the other questions have been answered. So let me look for unanswered questions, or let me look for unread comments. What hasn't anybody responded to? So that I can see what I might want to do or what I need to respond to as it relates to my group. And you just press enter to be done with that. This will be all conversations. So this will show up all of the moments that your group members have been in and have posted, have commented, have asked questions, etc. And then the solo one is like the specific conversation that's happening right now. So all conversations, specific and current conversation that's going on. Again, this is how you search for specific moments in the text, and this is where you search for a particular phrase or a particular idea or a search term that might have happened. Okay, and then the last thing I want to talk to you about as it relates to perusal is groups or the construction of a group. So there's a general discussion. I'm not going to talk about the general discussion. I'm going to talk about creating a group, and this is a new group chat. So the group chat might be, you just click the plus sign and then the same little thing comes up. You enter the name of your chat. It's clearly private and that you only want other people to be able to access it. It does not have the public option. Now, I can create a chat that has a public option, but you cannot. Yours is just private when you're in groups. You're creating a group chat, and then you select the students that you want to have access to it, and then you click save changes, and then your group will show up over here. Now in your group, that might be where you have a conversation about who's doing what of a particular article. Maybe two of your group members are reading the first two sections of, there we go. Maybe your group members are reading the first section, and then the next group members are reading Not Like a Girl and confronting and creating racial sexualized representations, and maybe everybody's reading Regulating Sexual Desire and Pleasure. I don't know how you might split it up. Maybe that's 4 distinct people and every person has their own specific piece that they're reading and everybody reads the introductory part. But your group chat might be where you decide who's going to do what for that week, how you're going to meet, when you're going to talk, and when assignments are due. So just to go over it again, we'll go back to the beginning. Your notes are your personal or your group specific places to have conversations about the text that are in paragraph form, that unpack and explain, and that might mirror your assignment that's due on Wednesday or your journal. The annotation, which is the conversation that you're having, the small moments of text that look like little chat boxes here, that's what you're doing to unpack what you're reading about. What is a dichotomy? Why is this person talking about dichotomies? What does it matter that there's a good girl versus a bad girl? Like, why, like whatever the language that is you might want to use, you might want to think about that, right? And this piece is specifically speaking to cis and presumed heterosexual young girls and how they have been trained, right, and conditioned to believe that some girls are good and some girls are bad, and you can see that based upon their actions. This is not new. This is something we all have understood, and we have all grown up with narratives and discourses that tell us this. And so your notes would be the place where you really unpack what that means. You think through it. Maybe you talk about your own lived experience as it relates to the text, and then you can then use that for your journal if it's a specific note that you haven't shared with your group mates, or it's something that you would use in your weekly assignment if it is something that you've shared with your group mates. And again, if you're in your notes, you just click this really quick little share button and you share it with specific people. And then once you're ready to download it, you just click download and it'll download as a Word document. The conversations are the moment or spaces where you're asking questions, where you're thinking through things, where you're responding to other people, whatever that might be. You can respond directly to a comment. So am not another person, so it's kind of difficult for me to respond to myself, but you can respond to other comments and answer specific questions that have been posed. And then the group feature, the group chat feature, is just a chat space for you all to talk to each other. And I would suggest that you use the chats as a means or a mode to schedule when you're going to be doing something, how you're going to be doing it, how you're going to be talking to each other, or just general conversation that you want to have, but that will bog or weigh down your notes or your annotation. So I hope this is helpful. If you have additional questions, please feel free to email me, but I will ask that you play around in perusall first, and that you ask 3 before me, meaning you ask 3 other students who have used perusall for assistance after watching this video before you come to ask me other questions, because it's possible that they figured it out before you, and they might be able to help you in a way that I cannot help you. All right, well, I will see you in class on Thursday. Bye.